So I'm outside laying down, enjoying the weather, reading my Bible, and something just came to my head. High value women never have pick me energy. Let me explain. See, when you are a high value woman, your confidence comes from within, meaning you can have a cute face, but what really throws people off is your energy when they meet you. And you're totally okay with not being everyone's cup of tea. And you're totally okay with not sharing or giving your energy to everyone you come across. Sometimes that can turn people off, and you start to hear people kind of say, like, oh, she's so bougie, or she thinks she's all that. And little do they know is that's just a simple form of protecting your peace. Just because they'd rather be in everyone's face and you don't, that you have to be labeled as something. And you'll know the difference between someone who is actually high value and someone who's just kind of being bougie or being closed off. It's because a high value woman will always still have a welcoming spirit about her. And I feel like a lot of people love draining other people's energy because they want what you have. And instead of asking, like, hey, like, how are you so vibrant? They rather say backhanded compliments so that they can feel better about themselves. And this is why I created a free guide, link is in my bio, of 10 habits on how to become a high value woman. These are going to be tips and tricks that you can do to be that today.
The first step on not being a pick me is, first of all, you have to stay unbothered. You can't get mad. You can't erupt emotionally when you are dealing with someone, especially in a relationship or trying to be in a relationship. So being a pick me is definitely a no-no. And so many people, I think everyone has been a pick me in their life at some point, and they know better now. And if they don't, they're learning, or they should be. Pick me era is not beginning, it is ending. And the reason why is because there's so many people that are doing the exact opposite. They're not being bothered. They're moving on quickly. They don't care. And it's kind of, they're putting themselves as a priority versus putting another person as a priority who doesn't feel the same way. And I think a lot of women need to do this. If the person that you are with does not feel like you're one of the most important people in their lives, then you shouldn't feel that way about them either. You know what I'm saying? You will probably put more on the line, do more, and lose more being that type of woman to whoever it is that you're with. So you have to knock off that pick me, dust off that pick me attitude and mindset, and start thinking about yourself.
The only thing worse than being a pick-me is being a pick-me who never wakes up and evolves beyond that. You're just a pick-me forever. Here's the thing. It is not inherently your fault for being a pick-me. Society conditions women since we're babies to be male-centered, male-serving, and pick-me's. However, it is your responsibility, once you cross that 25-year hump, to begin working on unlearning that shit and bossing the fuck up, okay? There really shouldn't be no reason that by the time you hit 30, you are still riding that pick-me horse high and right, baby. Like, ain't no reason. I know for me, what began to wake me up from being a pick-me was, as I was getting older, realizing just how creepy it was that the age I was turning were ages that men were trying to holler at me at 18. When I hit 25 and I was like, wait a damn minute, I wouldn't even talk to somebody who was 24 and a half. The fuck were they doing trying to talk to me at 18? And every year I have turned since 24 really, I get more and more grossed out at the realization that I have yet to hit the oldest age of a man that was in my DMs trying to holler at me when I was 18, 19. I won't hit that age till my 40s, babes. There are too many things that women experience in our personal lives for you to maintain being a pick-me and being male-centered for the rest of your life. Let those unfortunate experiences wake you the fuck up, girl.
How to get rid of pick-me energy in 2024. What I've realized about pick-me energy is that it really stems from not liking yourself. I know this sounds harsh, but when you feel a really strong need for someone to like you, for someone to choose you, a lot of times it's because you're not choosing yourself. I know this sounds really cliche, but I want to explain it in a way that helped me see this differently. The phrase liking yourself or loving yourself was something I heard for so many years before I actually ever got it. The reason I ever got it was because I got so fed up with my life at one point that I knew I had to change something, and through a process of experimentation, I kind of almost stumbled upon it in a way. First thing I realized was that I didn't really know myself, so before I could even think about loving or liking myself more, I had to start with just knowing myself. As we grow up, we really adopt and pick up the desires and wishes of the people around us, what we see in movies and television, and just with the people that are in our circles or in our communities. We pick up these desires that really aren't truthful to us, and we grow up to pursue careers and interests that might not really align with who we are. I do think this is really the core of a lot of dissatisfaction that we feel with our lives, and the core of when we feel like we have to get someone's approval or validation to make us feel like we're doing something right. What I did in this roundabout way was start to address that core of myself. What I started to do was to write down desires that I had, and these were desires that I'd never shared with people. I started to journal and spend some quiet time alone with myself and just write all of these things down. Something I found really helpful was to think about my life from the perspective of being 80 or 90 years old. Imagining looking back at my life from that age, wondering if I would regret not trying something because I thought I was too old to do it. Once I uncovered some of these desires that I had and thought about things that just really lit me up inside, I started to create a plan to actually pursue that. I'll go so much more in depth about what my list looked like and what I actually started to do to pursue my desires, but essentially I felt a new level of confidence unlocked when I started living a life that I was just really excited about, that I no longer dreaded that question when you're getting to know someone and they ask you what you do for fun, because I felt like my whole life was now fun. As I made progress with these things that I was pursuing and I got better and better at them, I noticed I started to care a lot less about what people thought of me. When I met new people, I was no longer worried about whether they would like me or not because I liked myself. And it didn't take any specific outward accomplishment or achievement for me to like my life more. Simply pursuing the things that I desired, no matter my skill level at these things, made me feel like a new person. A better way to say it would be made me feel like the best version of myself. The feeling and an energy that I carried around so long, which was this deep desire for validation and to impress people that I met, both romantically and not romantically, kind of started to dissolve. By no means perfect. I do still find myself wanting people to like me, but the urge is so much less strong, and whenever I do feel that urge, I know that it means that I need to be looking inward and addressing something within me that's not quite satisfied versus looking outward for that person's approval or attention. If I could recommend one thing that you start doing to rid yourself of pick-me energy, spend some time with yourself getting to know your desires and pick just one thing, and it could be the smallest thing. Pick that one thing and start doing it, whether you find an online course or you do a class in your community or you join a club or whatever. As long as it's something that you find really fun and exciting to add to your life, I guarantee it'll help you dissolve any pick-me energy that you're carrying around.
For me, a pick-me is somebody that thinks they're one of the boys, so they always look out for what the boys go through, and they always ignore what the women go through. Everything the guy does is always right. I think it's just also just, it's not even us trying to put down other women. I think it's just to say sometimes by always taking the man's side, it becomes dangerous for all of us, because eventually we get to the stage, right? Like if you're looking at how South Africa's got, South Africa's like the most dangerous place in the world when it comes to women's right, right? Because they don't really focus on that. If you're looking at GBV, if you're looking at rape as well. So for us just talking about pygmies, it's saying, hey, as much as you look out for guys' rights, it's important that you look out for women too, because with pygmies, everything a man does is always right. And the risk of that is that if we say the men are always right, eventually those men will think that it's okay to abuse women, because who's gonna call them out if we always saying that the man is right, you know? So this is the whole point of the video. It's not to start gender wars or anything, but it's just to say pick me women can be dangerous because they always see themselves as part of men, and men don't even see women as part of them. You know, that is a joke to them. Like pygmies will be those girls that chill with men alone at night, and that is dangerous, and they won't see it as being dangerous. They'll think they're part of the boys because because boys are always right to them, you know. So that's why I'm just putting out this video, just not to bash anybody or put anybody down. And it's also important that I say I did put up a video of Shara. I don't agree with everything that she always says, you know, with the sprinkle sprinkle. I think she can be wrong at times, just that in this specific video she was right. So yeah.